You know, what if there was a secret diary, not just for one person, but for all of humanity? A place that recorded our true, unfiltered thoughts. Well, according to Seth Stevens Davidawitz's book, Everybody Lies, that diary actually exists. And it's hidden in plain sight, in the one place we're all brutally honest, the search bar.
Just think about it for a second. You might tell a little white lie on a survey, or to your friends, maybe even to yourself sometimes. But there is one place where the mask just completely drops, where we reveal our deepest fears, our secret desires, our truest curiosities. And yep, you guessed it, that place is the internet. So, what is this core lie we all seem to tell? Well, it's that huge gap between who we say we are and who we actually are. And believe me, this isn't a new problem. It's been around for a very, very long time. Let's go back in time for a sec. Check out this study from the 1950s in Denver. Researchers asked people a really simple question, and a whopping 83% said, yep, I'm registered to vote. But then, the researchers did something interesting. They actually checked the public records. And the real number? Just 69%. People wanted to sound like good citizens, even in a private survey. It's a small lie, but man, it reveals a much bigger truth about how we behave.
Right, so that gap between what we say and what we do has always been there. But now, in our modern world, the internet has handed us a tool that lets us see right through it, a kind of digital truth serum, if you will.
This whole digital truth serum idea works because, well, when we're alone with our phones or our laptops, we stop trying to impress anyone. We're not performing for our boss or our friends. We just type in what we truly want to know. And when you gather millions and millions of those anonymous searches together, you get the most honest, raw picture of humanity that has ever existed.
In those quiet, private moments, our honesty just wins out. Like the book says, people drop the mask, revealing their secrets. So someone who might hold some racist views in private might search for racist jokes. Somebody struggling with severe anxiety can look for help without telling a soul. All those polite filters we use in public life, they just disappear.
Okay, so what actually happens when we start analyzing all this unfiltered data? Well, we start to uncover truths that are often pretty shocking, sometimes uncomfortable, and almost always completely different from what we claim to believe in public.
All right, take a look at this. Publicly, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who doesn't support gender equality. But the search data, it tells a very different story. It turns out parents are 2.5 times more likely to Google, "Is my son gifted?" than they are to ask the same question about their daughter. This is despite studies showing that girls are often ahead academically. It's a powerful, hidden bias revealed by a simple Google search.
And here's another one that flips a common idea right on its head. We hear all the time about the fear of missing out on being a parent, but the data shows a quieter, more hidden truth. It seems regret is actually more commonly searched for by people with kids than by those without.
Okay, how about this classic debate? It always pops up in the headlines, especially after a big, controversial movie comes out. Your gut instinct, for a lot of people, is to say, yeah, of course they do. But what does the data actually say?
You ready for this? The answer is totally counterintuitive. Economists dug into the numbers, FBI crime stats, box office sales, all of it, and they found that when big violent movies are released, crime rates actually fall. Why? It's pretty simple, actually. The very people most likely to commit those acts are, well, they're sitting in a dark movie theater, not out on the streets causing trouble.
Now, this data isn't just for uncovering social quirks. It can have incredible, life-saving potential. For instance, researchers found that a very specific pattern of searches could predict a pancreatic cancer diagnosis, sometimes months before a doctor would. I mean, on their own, these symptoms are pretty common, but together in this exact sequence, they create a powerful predictive signal, all from data that people volunteered just by trying to figure out what was wrong.
So it's clear we have this incredibly powerful new tool. But like any kind of power, it has two faces, right? A good side and a dark side. We have to understand not just what it can do, but what it shouldn't do.
First off, big data is not a crystal ball. It has its kryptonite. When you point it at something as wild and chaotic as the stock market, with all its infinite variables and unpredictable human psychology, it just fails. There are way too many moving parts. Sure, you can always find patterns if you look back at past data, but they're almost always just coincidences, not things you can rely on to predict the future.
And these dangers are not some abstract, futuristic idea. Just imagine getting rejected for a job because some algorithm decided it didn't like your Facebook likes. or an airline jacking up the price of a flight because its data shows you're desperate to get home, or a casino figuring out the exact amount of money you can lose before you give up, all to keep you hooked just a little bit longer. This isn't science fiction, this is the ethical minefield we're navigating right now. But here's the flip side. That same transparency can be used to empower us, the regular people. Think about it. A single well-written bad Yelp review can force a restaurant to clean up its act. Price comparison sites make it almost impossible for hotels to get away with overcharging. When it's used the right way, data can shift the balance of power right back to the consumer.
So, after diving into all these hidden truths, these amazing possibilities, and these pretty scary pitfalls, what are the big lessons we should take away from this new world of data?
So, what does this all boil down to? First, we really need to learn to trust data, often more than our own gut feelings. Second, remember that data isn't just boring spreadsheets. It's the hidden patterns in everything we do. Third, we have to accept that our private searches have created this digital truth serum, the most honest record of humanity ever. And finally, and this is maybe the most important part, we have to respect that while this tool is powerful, it has real limits and it carries some very real dangers.
And all of this leaves us with one final massive question. Our digital footprints are telling the story of who we really are more honestly than anything that's come before. So as we move forward, the challenge isn't just about collecting more data. The real challenge is deciding who gets to interpret it, who gets to use it, and ultimately, who gets to control the narrative of us.